Hi everyone. I collected over 200 letters sent by toxic parents to their no-contact children. I could have stopped at 10. The wording may have been different, but the message was always the same, and they all go something like this. Dear son/daughter, we really feel the need for the holding on to the past is over and we need to move forward. We are heartbroken and we see no reason for this rift to continue. We are sorry that you feel the need for all of this, and we are sorry for whatever you think we've done to deserve it. We are worried about your mental state and we only want to help. We are not well and we really must move forward before it's too late. We miss you. Love, Mom and Dad. Please allow me to translate, starting with the time for holding on to the past is over and we need to move forward. This first sentence already contains everything you need to know. Whatever happened before no contact will never be addressed or acknowledged, and the only behavior that needs addressing is the child's obstinance. Stop holding on to the past is an order, but it is also an accusation. The reason toxic parents love saying it so much is because the accusation switches the focus from whatever the parents did to cause no contact to the child's stubborn refusal to let it go. In other words, it's not the parents who are preventing repair, it's the child. First of all, the child isn't preventing repair. The child is preventing destruction. It is not the child who is dishing out the animosity, antagonism, harassment, and attacks. It's the parents. They are therefore the only ones who can stop and are therefore the only ones with any power to leave it in the past. Secondly, it is not moving forward if the plan to reconcile is just an order to go back to the way things were. That's called moving backwards. And thirdly, it is not possible to move forward without acknowledging the problems of the past. It is the only way problems can be fixed so that they won't be repeated. A parent who won't acknowledge the problems is a parent who intends to repeat them. And next is, we are heartbroken. As usual, this is all about the parents' feelings. The child didn't cause this mess, but somehow is expected to feel sorry for adults who threw tantrums, lied, sulked, sabotaged, and screamed their way past at every shot at normalcy. There's no mention of what happened to cause no contact, how it affected the child then, or how it is affecting the child now. All that matters is that the child walked away, and the only ones who deserve to feel heartbroken about it are the parents. No contact is the direct result of the parents' actions, for which they only have themselves to blame. All harping on and on about their heartache proves is that they never cared about the child's feelings throughout the horrors that caused no contact, and they are certainly not going to start caring now. Next up is, we see no reason for this. Just like that, the child's reasons for no contact are declared invalid. The actual reasons are trivialized, ignored, or replaced entirely with whatever the parents decide the real reason was. The child was brainwashed by a partner, influenced by therapists or social media, is on drugs or has gone mad. Anything that saves the parents from accountability. A reason is actionable. A reason outlines exactly what the problem is and how to fix it. Toxic parents have no intention of fixing anything other than the child's disgraceful attitude to abuse, of course. So it makes sense to deny that an actual reason exists. Having no valid reason for doing something this drastic must mean that the child is a liar or cruel or crazy. Spread this far and often enough, and who wouldn't believe heartbroken parents who have no idea why this is happening over their brainwashed and social media addled child? Blame needs to be assigned, and if the parents aren't at fault, it must be the child who is. Next is, sorry that you. An apology that replaces I with you is not an apology. It is more blame. Sorry for what you think and feel does not mean I'm sorry for what I have done. It means I am sorry you are reacting this way. Next is, sorry for whatever. Using modifiers like whatever automatically minimizes and trivializes the parent's behavior, making the child's reaction to it seem over-exaggerated. In other words, the parent's behavior isn't the problem. The problem is the child's unreasonable overreaction to something minor and insignificant. Next up is, we are worried about you. Yeah, right. These parents have never worried about their children a day of their lives, but the moment they leave is the moment they decide to bring the child's competence and sanity into question. Claiming that a child is unwell or unfit under the guise of parental concern neatly pins the blame on the child's fictitious problems instead of on the parents' very real ones. Next is, we only want to help. Now that the child is being declared incompetent and unstable, the parent's magnanimous offers to help turns the tables perfectly. Now it is the parents who are anxious to help, and it is the child who is unhinged for refusing to accept it. When toxic parents say, we want to help, what they really mean is we want to control. A down and out or disturbed child who needs help but is refusing to take it is more than enough to convince everyone involved that the child is a mess and would be better off with their parents' help. We are not well is the next one. No interaction with a toxic parent would be complete without a toxic guilt trip. Unexplained and fictitious illnesses do the trick nicely. Before it's too late seals the deal. There's still no mention of coming to any resolution or understanding because that's not what these parents want. They don't want a relationship based on compassion, solutions, and growth. They just want control. So they don't mind in the slightest if the only thing keeping the relationship alive is the threat of their impending deaths. Last one is, we miss you. Nope. They miss what the child can do for them. They miss their personal assistant, their punching bag, and their therapist. They miss being praised and soothed and placated every time they cause a shit show and need the child to pick up the pieces. These parents are not heartbroken. They're not even sad. They are furious that a child has shone a spotlight on their parents' appalling behavior, outraged that they have to do all this damage control to save their precious reputations, and downright apoplectic at their loss of control. What I want you to see here is that these are not the words of people who are sorry, and it is certainly not the behavior of people who are sorry. People who are sorry and want to reconcile do not go around telling everyone who will listen that the person they hurt is brainwashed or addicted or crazy. People who are sorry do not stalk their victims, force entry into their homes, or leave strange and upsetting packages on their doorsteps. People who are sorry do not try to get their children shunned by their support systems, fired from their jobs, or evicted from their homes. People who are sorry do not threaten to take children away from their parents, make fake claims with social services, file false police reports, or use grandparents' rights as an excuse to terrify and financially cripple their own children. Stalking, harassment, smear campaigning, and threatening to destroy the lives of their children and grandchildren is not the behavior of people who want to reconcile. This is the behavior of people who want to retaliate. So, what does a sincere apology letter look like? I wish I could show you. You would think that after months of trawling through letters from heartbroken parents, I'd have found at least one that could even begin to repair the decades of abuse and neglect, or at the very least shine some hope for a healthier future. To be honest, I don't know if such a letter could truly exist. What I do know is when someone has done something this vicious, this cruel, and for this long, and they actually do see the error of their ways, the lengths they go to for forgiveness must be pretty fucking spectacular. What I also know is that anyone worthy of this kind of apology won't be getting it from the people who are capable of hurting anyone like this, let alone their own child, which is probably why I haven't found such a letter. There would never have been a reason to write one. That said, if you have received a letter or you are anticipating receiving one and you are still unsure as to its sincerity, here is a guideline. But first, let's properly define apology. An apology is the stated intent to change behavior. And herein lies the key. Most children aren't even looking for an apology. They just want the abuse to stop. The more a parent jokes about it, blames the child for it, or swears it never happened, the more the child has got to accept that it won't stop. The only way a child can accept that it's over is when a parent says and means that it's over. And it starts with the 5 A's. That's apologize, admit, acknowledge, atone, and accept. So let's start with apologize. And you're going to need to know what the apology is for. This blanket sorry for everything does precisely that. It blankets everything that ever happened under one vague shroud. The specifics aren't addressed, so when any of them come up again, you're the shit for going back on accepting the apology that everything already covered. A blanket apology doesn't just leave the problems wide open in the air waiting to be repeated. It leaves you wide open to allocating the apology to the wrong place. Without the specifics, there's no way to know if your parents, if what they're apologizing for and what that you need them to stop doing match. You may be so desperate for the relief of knowing that certain acts won't happen again that you'll assume that that was what the apology was for, so you don't have to worry about it happening again. So when it does happen again, you're back to square one, desperately trying to get your parents to stop. So a real apology starts with, I am sorry for, insert your specifics here, so that the child can trust the parents not to do it again. Next up is admit. We've already established that parents who won't admit they were wrong intend to stay that way. A parent cannot do what's right if they won't admit to what was wrong. So a real apology includes, it was wrong of me because, insert the reasons here, so that the child knows that the parents aren't just saying what they want to hear. Next is acknowledge. You can't have an apology without acknowledging that one was necessary, and that means recognizing that the hurtful behavior has painful effects. Apologizing for hurtful behavior with no regard to the impact it had means absolutely nothing. So a real apology will also include, I recognize that my behavior has affected the way you, insert the effects here, so the child knows that their pain has been taken seriously and that they won't be accused of whining over something minor or trivial. Next is a tone. The whole point for any of this is advancement, and the only way to do that is by fixing the problems that prevent that. So a real apology also includes, I will fix this by, insert solutions here, so that the child knows that they won't be solely responsible for finding solutions to problems that at the end of the day are beyond their control. I hope you've noticed so far that there is nothing about wanting an apology that has anything to do with wanting a parent to grovel or to beg. It's about wanting reassurance. An apology reassures the child that the parents are in agreement about what needs to stop. Admission is the reassurance that the child isn't being tricked into taking more abuse. Acknowledgement is the reassurance that the child's feelings are real. And atonement reassures the child that they won't be stuck fixing this alone. Reassurance is not an impossibly monumental task. It's not hard to understand or difficult to perform. After what these parents have done, reassuring a child that it won't happen again is literally the very least they could do. There is a fifth and final piece of their apology, and that is knowing that it doesn't have to be accepted. Some acts are unforgivable, and it falls on the parents who commit them to accept that what they did and what they allowed others to do to their children is so indefensible that forgiveness can't be justified. Being bullied, shamed, threatened, or coerced into accepting an apology is just more abuse. It is not up to the offender to decide how and when their victim should be handing over their forgiveness. Some of what these parents have done have left their children with scars they have to face and battles they'll have to fight every single day of their lives. Just being in the same vicinity as their abusers is enough to re-traumatize these children into such severe a regression that being in the same room as one isn't an option. Sometimes forgiveness isn't also only about what happened during contact. It's about the revenge that was wreaked afterwards. Acts of revenge, such as baselessly calling social services just to prove that they can and will terrify their children whenever they please, is something I personally believe that there's just no coming back from. People who have proven to prefer stooping to vengeance over rising to solutions haven't earned forgiveness. And a major reason they haven't earned it is because they don't even want it. Yes, forgiveness needs to be deserved, but it also needs to be wanted before it's even possible to grant. If you asked a parent in the throes of summoning social services if they'd like some forgiveness, they'd scoff that they neither want nor need any. They would tell you that displacing their grandchildren and destroying their children is completely justified, and that if anyone needs forgiveness, it's their disgusting children. So, to the children watching this, toxic parents use lots of things that were never designed to be weapons as weapons. They take love and they conditionalize it. They take trust and exploit it. They take affection and pervert it. They take compassion and corrupt it. What they do to forgiveness is no different. Asking for forgiveness after abuse and ordering a child to continue to endure it are two vastly different things. Whatever your stance on how much forgiveness to grant in relation to healing, this kind of forgiveness isn't it. To the parents watching, and I know you do, your kids aren't speaking to you because they haven't forgiven you. They have already forgiven you for more traumas than they can count every day of their lives for decades. If you really want to reconcile, then get off this pathetic and unbelievably juvenile, you hurt me because you won't let me hurt you merry-go-round. Your kids aren't speaking to you because they won't grant you forgiveness. They're not speaking to you because you don't want it. Right, my course is available on Patreon and a few other platforms. It's called No Contact is Not a Resort, it is a Result. Give it a try. I'll even be there to guide you through it. The details are in the description. See you soon.